the reason that why the Center for Policy Analysis and why we decided to have this meeting was also because ever since even in 1992, which we've all witnessed to, this has been sort of dragged into the more fundamentalist religious spirit, this whole controversy. So you have the Hindu fundamentalist and you have the Muslim fundamentalist, you have the Sunni Waqf board, you have the Ram Mandir something. And along the way, the Constitution of India and law has been forgotten and pushed away. And the whole issue is actually to do with the Constitution of India and of the law, and little to do with religion. And before I ask the panelists to speak, I'll just add one bit about the media. This is something that we started doing since the advent of television, where we started bringing a Muslim face to speak for Muslims and a Hindu face to speak for Hindus in all the religious gear. And the secular voice was slowly and gradually pushed out of television debates, out of the reckoning, and any issue which has religious overtones like Ayodhya, then the spokesperson automatically became either the Muslim fundamentalist or the Hindu fundamentalist. And those talking for secularism, talking about the constitution, talking about the law, where Ayodhya and the structure was concerned, the whole thing became, it was pushed also by the media and a very active media into the religious field. And that has been one of the reasons why today I think there are a lot of people from the younger generation that are probably looking at Ayodhya as a Muslim issue, or are the Muslims upset and it's a Hindu issue, whereas actually it has nothing to do with either. It is to do with secular India, it has to do with the constitution, it has to do with the fundamentals of democratic existence. So I'm going to give the floor. First, we'll go through with the panelists. Praveen Jain was a photographer who took photographs that time, and I wanted him to just recount what he saw when he comes in. And Mr. Hegde will speak on the law and on the political aspect and a certain perspective. We're very happy to invite Mani Shankaraya to say a few words.
Oddly enough, mostly in Hindu circles, as a great example of the liberation of Muslim women. But when precisely the same kind of judgment was given in the Sabarimala case, where the court decided that Hindu women of a certain age must be permitted, not may be permitted, must be permitted to enter the Sabarimala temple, the very ones who had hailed the Haji Ali decision were the ones who very strongly condemned and campaigned against that decision of the Supreme Court. And the reaction of the Supreme Court was not to hold them in contempt, but to agree to set up a huge bench to look again at that issue. So it would seem that there are different standards for different communities. And that, to my mind, is the most fundamental violation that can be made of the principle of equality of all citizens that is written into our Constitution and is the basis and foundation of all constitutional law and therefore of all municipal law, which must show that it has conformed to the Constitution. It is in this context that I find the decision to which the Supreme Court has come on the Ayodhya issue particularly disturbing. Because, as has been detailed in this very interesting article by Abhay Shukla that has been circulated to us, it is quite clear that the Supreme Court, in its judgment as distinct from its verdict, what it says is that in 1528, a mosque was built by a Muslim general called Mir Baqi, and named the Babri Masjid, although usually Muslim places of worship are not named after an individual. Usually, there are exceptions to this. And that it was continuously under the use of the Muslims from 1528 till about 1855 or so, when, with the decline of Mughal power and the establishment of British power, some Hindus thought this was the great opportunity to avenge themselves on what the Prime Minister described in Parliament in his first speech, that is in 2014, as 1200 years of foreign subjugation. That is the official interpretation of the present establishment of India's history. 1200 years of foreign subjugation. And that therefore the argument made in the independence movement that we wish to end 250 years of foreign subjugation should be extended to the previous 1200 years. On this basis, it seems to me, the Supreme Court has given its judgment of the 9th of November. For it accepts that the Muslims who lived in Ayodhya in the period between approximately 1528 and 1857 actually allowed Hindus to also worship near the site. It is the goodness of the Muslims that is now being held against them. It says they didn't have exclusive possession of the area that is described as the area around which the Babri Masjid has been built. And therefore, the non-exclusive use of the premises, which should really be a feather in the cap of the Muslims, has been held against them. For although the court has pointed out that because Hindus worshipped, the Muslims cannot claim exclusive possession, they seem by some sleight of hand to have decided that the Hindus held exclusive possession and therefore need to have the premises restored to them. By definition, if the Hindus were praying in the same or around the same premises, the outer courtyard as it has been described, then it's equally true that the Muslims were praying inside the inner courtyard. So how can the doctrine of exclusive possession be applied only against very tolerant Muslims who understood the Hindu sentiment, but not against Muslims, not against Hindus, who ever since the 16th of December 1949 have, with the backing of the courts, succeeded in ensuring that there is no possession, inclusive or exclusive, of the Muslims in the area. And in any case, why has the court not urged that the findings of the Libahan Commission be adjudicated and those who have been found guilty by the Libahan Commission be punished?
Still 6th December is not very very important because 5th December is very important because the rehearsal जो था conspiracy थी वो 5th of December की. December was a most important thing. 6 दिसंबर को मैं अडवाणी जी से रिक्वेस्ट किया जब हमको पीटा जा रहा था वहाँ पर और काफ़ी पीटा तो सबसे सेफ जगह थी अडवाणी जी को रिक्वेस्ट करें. वो मंच के ऊपर अडवाणी जी, जोशी, उमा भारती, एवरीबडी वॉज सिटिंग देयर एंड आई रिक्वेस्टेड अडवाणी जी बिकॉज हम लोग जानते थे उनको दिल्ली से, तो उन्होंने बिल्कुल नज़रअंदाज किया और दे नेवर सेड ए सिंगल वर्ड कि हमको बचाओ. जर्नलिस्ट मैंने बोला पीटे जा रहे हैं, कम से कम अनाउंसमेंट करो। अनाउंसमेंट सिर्फ ये हो रही थी ऊपर कि ना सुप्रीम कोर्ट की आज्ञा का पालन करो, और लोग हंसते थे। पहले हमको एक्चुअली उन्होंने कार्ड इशू किए थे 4 तारीख को, मीडिया कार्ड विश्व हिंदू परिषद ने, कि ये लोग कवर करें। तो मानस भवन के अंदर हम सब मीडिया वाले ज़्यादातर ऊपर थे, ताकि हम बाबरी मस्जिद को देख सकें। वहाँ पर सुप्रीम कोर्ट ने उनको परमिशन दी हुई थी कि सरयू नदी से बालू रेत ला करके एक सिंबॉलिक पूजा करनी थी। तो सडनली हमने देखा कि मॉस्क के ऊपर लोग चढ़ने लगे और उसको तोड़ने लगे, और एवरीथिंग वाज प्री प्लान। सबसे पहला अटैक उन्होंने मीडिया के ऊपर किया, ज़्यादातर विजुअल मीडिया के ऊपर, बिकॉज एवरीबडी वाज कैरिंग द इक्विपमेंट। तो एक कैमरामैन था, उसका जो कैमरा था वो टीवी वाला था, उसका मानस भवन से 3rd फ्लोर था, आई स्टिल रिमेंबर, ऊपर से नीचे फेंकना शुरू किया और फिर इक्विपमेंट तोड़ना शुरू किया। तो सब लोग समझ गए थे कि हम लोग अटैक करेंगे हम लोगों के ऊपर। तो सब लोगों ने भागना शुरू किया टुवर्ड्स द स्ट्रीट, जहाँ पर हमारी गाड़ियाँ खड़ी हुई थी सड़क के ऊपर। तो देवर, आई कैन सी कि देवर अटैकिंग ओनली विजुअल मीडिया, दे अटैक मी ऑल्सो। तो सडनली हारते हुए, मैं सांस चढ़ा हुआ था, मैंने कोट पहना हुआ था, तो मैंने कोट कैमरे के ऊपर ढका, तो उससे मैं थोड़ा मेरे कैमरे वगैरह जो हैं वो बचे। फिर मैं भाग करके जहाँ अडवाणी जी, जोशी जी बैठे हुए थे, आई थॉट कि शायद उनको ना पता हो कि हमारे ऊपर अटैक हो रहा है, बट एवरीबडी वॉज नोइंग एंड दे इग्नोर माई अपील व्हेन आई सेड टू अडवाणी जी, जोशी जी, राजमाता जी कि ऐसे ऐसे हो रहा है। BL शर्मा प्रेम वॉज ऑल्सो देयर, ही मस्ट बी नोइंग। देन ही सेड कि ना रन, भागो यहाँ से तुम लोग, और क्योंकि ही हेल्प मी विद द पिक्चर्स एंड ऑल दैट। तो हम किसी तरह से वहाँ पर भागे। तो शान अवध होटल में हम ठहरे हुए थे, तो हम पैदल भाग रहे थे। जो हमारी गाड़ियाँ थी उन सब को तोड़ वोड़ दी थी और भगा दिया था लोगों ने, मोब ने। और सडनली हम भागना शुरू किया टुवर्ड्स शान अवध। तो आई कैन सी तब तक राइट्स हो गए थे, और घर जल चुके थे, जल रहे थे, गाड़ी वाड़ी तोड़ रहे थे लोग, मतलब मोब एकदम से वायलेंस वगैरह हो चुकी थी और सड़कों पे आ चुकी थी। तो किसी तरह से हम शान अवध पहुँचे। तो नेक्स्ट डे 7 दिसंबर फिर हमने फिर से अटैक, मतलब गए देखने के लिए कि ढांचे का क्या हुआ, क्योंकि नो प्रेसमैन वाज गोइंग। तो फिर हमने क्या सेम मेथड यूज़ किया जो 5 दिसंबर को था, कि भगवे वगैरह कपड़े हमने पहने, क्योंकि 5 दिसंबर को मैंने वही पहने हुए थे। तो पहन के जय श्री राम के नारे लगाते हुए तो हम लोग स्पॉट पे गए। तो देखा तो पूरा जो ढांचा था वो बिल्कुल डेमोलिश हो चुका था, और एक भगवा झंडा उसके ऊपर रखा हुआ था। विटनेस भी लिखा पाइनियर के अंदर कि व्हाट आई सो इन 4th, 5th और 6th दिसंबर एंड 7 दिसंबर। कोर्ट के अंदर आर्गूमेंट था, एक्चुअली कोर्ट के अंदर वकील चाहते थे, 4-5 वकील होते थे, बजरंग दल, शिवसेना, और टोटल बकवास क्वेश्चन करते थे कि टिकट कहाँ है आपकी। जब आप 25 साल पहले मैं टिकट अपनी जेब में रखता, कौन सा सीट नंबर था, कौन से रूम में ठहरे थे। और इन फ्रंट ऑफ द जज सरप्राइज थिंग वाज ये सेइंग कि ना हमको मालूम है आप थे, लेकिन आपको झूठा हमको साबित करना है कि आप नहीं थे। तो जज के सामने बोलते थे कि हमको मालूम है कि आप थे, लेकिन हमको ये साबित करना है आप नहीं थे, क्योंकि यू आर द मेन विटनेस जिसने रिहर्सल देखी है, और हम साबित करेंगे कि आप झूठ बोल रहे हैं।
1855 is a complex, has a complex history, but that provides the backdrop to the kind of conflict which begins to take place at Ayodhya. Already, I mean, this is a reflection of the way in which real property, an important pilgrimage center which has emerged, and people, sort of different groups sort of trying to control that pilgrimage center. That combines with what is happening in the Ayodhya, the state, the Talukdari regime. 1856, there is another transition, the British takeover. 1857, there is the revolt, and this continues up to 1858. So there are really 3 or 4 years of administrative collapse in Ayodhya, which is precisely the time when the dispute becomes something that can be used to make claims, which then by the 1860s are claims about the Babri Masjid being the temple. So earlier it is the area outside the in the courtyard that the worship takes place. And this demarcation, the British, of course, were very sort of particular about demarcating Hindu and Muslim spaces. So from a shared space, by 57, 58, this becomes a space that is divided. But still, I think, it's important to remember, and this is something that the court judgment itself notes, that what in this division of shared space, the area that lay in the compound, that is outside the built structure, was the space that was used for Hindu pilgrimage, whereas the mosque itself remained a place for Muslim worship. What was reversed by the end of the century was this order. So from being outside, worship moved inside. And that is something which was then finally, that second moment of 1949, which sort of really kind of established this the assertion of the claim to the mosque itself. History is really irrelevant to this dispute. Let me just, there's one thing which I find a little disturbing, very disturbing about this judgment. The way in which it uses the term Hindu and Muslim. This is something which, of course, has been pointed out by many who have commented on it. But right at the outset, it talks about how this is a dispute between the Hindus who are making a claim and the Muslims who don't accept that claim. As if the two sets of litigants are representative of Hindus and Muslims generally. This is a serious problem with this to first of all assume that these two sets of litigants are representative of these two communities generally, and that they have the authority to speak on behalf of the entire community. Because when these negotiations were going on, mediation was going on, there was a lot of talk about the offer of an offer made to the Muslims. The Muslims are not accepting the offer. This is an offer being made to the Muslims. The point is, who is this Muslim? And the way in which the court actually interprets the term Hindu and Muslim and uses it throughout the judgment is something which to me seems a serious problem there. And it is really that it is the colonial sort of way of classifying communities. So you have these two large undifferentiated communities, the Hindu and the Muslim, who are obviously antagonistic to each other and who can never really resolve their differences. And that brings me to the final point, that this is not really about history. And just to save time, I'll just read out a few sentences. The question of the history of the structure and claims based on that history is irrelevant in a modern secular democracy. To get into an argument over the history of the site is to concede that historical wrongs can be set right in the present, if only they can be established in a court of law. The destruction of a historical structure like the Babri Masjid was an assault on the common historical heritage of India, and the citizens of India, many of whom happened to be Muslim in terms of their religious persuasion, were deprived of a part of that heritage, howsoever significant or insignificant it might have been. That structure cannot be restored. A part of our heritage is lost forever. The state, as the custodian of our common heritage, failed in its responsibility towards the citizens of India to protect that small fragment of our past. Hopefully, the criminal proceedings in the case relating to the demolition will provide some justice, though after hearing what Parveen Sahib say, I'm not too sure about that. But whatever may be the outcome of those proceedings, that fragment of our common heritage can never be recovered again.